Okay, I'm just setting up the live stream. Shouldn't be too long. Or setting up my monitor for the live stream, I should say. Nearly there. Okay. So, I finally got around to downloading the Sepecat Jaguar from AzurPoly for Flight Simulator 2024. Now, apparently they are going to make a special version of it for 2024 with features that don't exist in 2020, but for the moment we have broadly the same aircraft that's arrived in 2020 is available in 2024, which is what you're seeing here. I'm on the ground at RAF Honington. So we're going to work through starting the aircraft up from cold and dark and take it for a first flight. So, full disclosure, I have done one flight in it just to make sure that I've got things configured okay. Right, so what can we have a look at? Before we get going, let's go and have a look. The instructions for the aircraft exist online. There is well, you have to dig around on the internet to find the instructions for it, because there is nothing in the download you get for it. But there is a really good online PDF that you can download. Obviously, you can see from AzurPolygroup.com, which has got, you know, very, very detailed instructions about the aircraft. So, also, I've written my own procedure in the way that I normally do. So this goes into enormous depth, going around the aeroplane, telling you what views to use, where to look, what to switch, what to turn, what to press, in the same order as the checklist that exists inside the aircraft. So you can see it goes on for 10 pages of pressing and doing. So it's quite involved. It's almost study level aeroplane. It's very, very good. So you can get a copy of that from Ko-fi.com. I've linked to it in the notes of this video. So that's where you can grab that from. Obviously, I will update it as the aircraft evolves as well. So let's go and have a look at the airplane. We've not even looked at it yet. So we've got the drone camera here in 2024. I've switched the weather to just few clouds for this test flight, just so we make it easy for ourselves. It looks the part, doesn't it? It's very good. Can I just check the volume levels before we get too far? So I'm going to turn the simulator volume all the way up. This aeroplane is properly noisy once we get it started, so I will go and turn the volume down again when we've had a good look around. So you get a custom pilot with the proper kit on, proper Jaguar pilot in there. It's really cool, isn't it, how they've modelled all the covers on the aircraft and done them properly. So it looks photographic. It's very, very nicely done. Let's go and have a look around the undercarriage legs. So they've got all the hydraulics pipes, all the fittings. It's all it's remarkably accurately done, isn't it? I can never get over the skill of the designers these days with the textures and the material modelling and the paintwork. It really is something else. So there are some various rules around, or during the checklist, you'll see that we have the spoilers open. And I'm guessing that's for this hardware here. So we'll see that along the way. Okay, so thank you very much for the donation there in the live stream. Much appreciated. Again, I'm not a professional pilot. I'm just showing you what I've learned along the way, and if that's useful to others, then that's fantastic. Obviously, after you've looked at what I've done, the next stop is to go to the professional pilots. I find quite often, though, they don't actually describe what they're doing. They just do it because it's second nature to them. Whereas kind of everything becomes interesting to me. Like, why are we doing this? And why are we doing that? And how do we do this? And how do we do that? This is stunning, isn't it? Look at the level, even down to the screw heads. It's madness. It really is. And there's variations of the colour of the screw heads where they've been replaced. That's awesome, isn't it? They obviously noticed that on the real things and went and dealt with it. It's awesome, isn't it? So if we get some reflections going on in the paintwork, it's quite dull though in the camouflage paint. You can see, look, the green reflects more than the grey does. Interesting. Okay, let's go and have a look down inside the cockpit. So you can see we've got an EFB, and I can show you how you can make that appear and disappear. It's really handy and it's quite nicely done. You've also got the pilot appearing here, and you can choose whether you see the pilot when you're in first person perspective. So you get lots of controls around that. But you can see, if I just try and slow the drone camera down even more, the cockpit looks real. It's absolutely stunning. So obviously the Jaguar predates GPS navigation, but you do have it as an option. You can retrofit it into the aircraft. I'll show you how you can do that. But most of the time you will be doing VOR navigation. And the old school dead reckoning, which military pilots are trained in this era to be really good at. There's some really good videos on YouTube about European teams going to red flag back in the early days with old school aeroplanes and destroying the Americans because they were all basically staying off the radio and doing everything on timing and stopwatches. But yeah, it's stunning, isn't it? That pilot looks quite sinister, doesn't he? Okay, so as I said, we are at RAF Honington. It's a nice sunny day. We've engineered the sunny day for ourselves. So it's going to be good fun to go and fly it and find out how it behaves. I think we're full with fuel out of the box. Let's have a quick look. We can control this in the tablet as well. I'll show you how to do that. But if we go into the aircraft tab, go to flight performance and mass and balance and fuel. So we've got a number of the tanks are full. I'm guessing that's the external tanks if we fit them. So that the standard tanks are full. We'll have a play with that though in the tablet when we get in the aeroplane. So if I press Shift and X and then backspace, famous last words, will it actually behave itself? So before I'll just try the head tracking out to make sure it's working okay. So it seems to be fine. So I'm going to turn head tracking off while we are looking around the aeroplane doing things. So in the tablet we get to remove the covers and the ladder and the wheel chocks. If you look outside now, they will have disappeared. We can repair the canopy. I'm guessing you can rip the canopy off if you taxi too fast with it up or do things like that. So there's some quick start buttons here. We're not going to be using those. You've got display options, as I mentioned. You can show the pilot on the interior view. If we do that, then our legs appear, which is quite cool. Doesn't get too much in our way, but we're going to turn that off for the moment. Helmet type, we've got two different types of helmet. I didn't notice that before. So let's go and have a look. So there's the second type. The first one we already saw. Okay, we'll go with the first one anyway. So you've got options on the heat blur. We've got GPS position if you choose to show it. So if we go and show the GNS 530, it appears down here. And we can show it either there or at the front. So it's going to put it... What does that take the place of then? Oh, there's a blank place there. Okay, so we could have a GNS 530 if we wish. We're not... Oh, sorry, 430, not 530. We're not going to bother. If you've got the TDS or the PMS GTN 750 or 650, sorry, is the smaller unit, isn't it? If you've got them installed, you can use them. And obviously, once you've got a GPS unit, you have the option of switching the CDI mode over to use GPS within the tablet. Obviously, there's no switch for that in the aeroplane because it didn't have it. So you've got TACAN mode in here between X and Y as well. So this is where you can control the fuel within the aircraft, and you can control. This is in the community folder. I've not purchased this in the marketplace, therefore we can put bombs on it, or drop tanks. So if we just go and do that to have a look at them, if we put a drop tank on each side, and you can see it's some massive great drop tanks now. So we'll take them off. We're going to make our life easy to begin with. We'll remove the pylons as well. And you can see a moving map there. So we are at RAF Honington. We can compare and contrast that with LittleNavMap, which has obviously got lots of markings all over it. You get a basic autopilot in here. The real aircraft does not have an autopilot, so that's why you have this in here, so you can at least go and make yourself a cup of tea if you're on a long route. And some information. Interesting, flight time, 2 hours. That's how long I've been sat on the ground looking around the aeroplane, writing up the documentation. There you go. Interesting, isn't it? So, if you want to make the tablet go away once you've got rid of the covers and everything, there's a button on the left wall of the cockpit that toggles it on and off. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to start working through my own checklist. I have set myself up. If we put the tablet back on, there is no custom view that shows this. So if you press Shift and Space, you end up having to look down. So I have gone and made myself, he says, famous last words. Oh yeah, so if I press Shift then Alt 1, that's interesting. That's in a different place than it was earlier. I need to have a look at that. But anyway, you may want to make yourself a custom view that looks at the tablet. So I'm going to turn the tablet back off. Actually, if you want to make custom views, I can quickly show you that during this video. So at the moment we are, so if I press Shift and Space, we're looking dead ahead. So if I go Shift Q will bring us down a bit, Shift W will go along a bit, Shift K will look us down a bit. So say we want that, we can press Control Alt 1 for example. So I have mapped the keys Control Alt and 1 to save a custom view number 1, and then Alt and 1 to load custom view number 1. So I can press now Alt and 1 will go there. Yeah. So that's dependent on you having set up the keyboard mappings to do that. So I've set up Control Alt 1 to save custom view 1 and Alt 1 to load custom view 1. So let's go and turn the tablet back off. So one thing I noticed straight away about the aeroplane, the flaps are reversed. I think I've seen this in AzurPoly aircraft before. So what I've had to do is duplicate the existing profile I might have used for a 2-engine jet aircraft, and I've gone and saved it under a new profile name, calling it the AzurPoly Sepecat Jaguar, and I've reversed the flap axis because they were round the other way than normal. Okay, so let's go and have a look at this then. So we've gone into the EFB and we've removed the covers, the ladders and the wheel chocks, and we've turned the EFB off. So then we can press Shift and 2 to go to the right side of the aircraft, and in the rectifier and alternator switches up the front we're going to go and put the master battery on, which is the far left switch. Now let's see how loud that is. That's not too bad. So once you've done that, an alarm goes off. The master alarm is on the top left of the instrument panel, so you can turn that off. Then we're going to press Shift and 1 to go to the left side. We're going to put the anti-collision lights on. They're up at the far corner there. And then we're going to go and prepare to start the engines. So we're going to put the hydraulic pumps to auto. So they are at the top left below the alarm, so it's here. And the reason we're going to do this is we're going to make sure, I think they're extended by default, but we need to have the spoilers open. So you can see we can control them. So if they weren't open, we make sure the spoilers are open. So I've done that on my primary flight controls. And then once the spoilers are open, we can turn the hydraulic pumps back off again. So then Shift and 3 takes us down to the central console. We're going to go to the LP valve section and we're going to go and turn this on. and close it. Then in the APU section, we're going to put the APU to on and then start it. And then bleed air can go to start up as well. And then we're going to go through starting the right engine, or engine number 2. So we go over to the central console again, which is Shift and 3. And we flick this to engine 2 start. And you'll hear, if we go and look in the cockpit and look down here, you'll see the RPM coming up. And when it gets to 50%, we can start playing with the switches over here. So alternator 2 and rectifier 2 will go to on. We have to wait till it gets to 50%. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing for engine number 1. So you can notice, if you don't use the custom view, the yoke's in your way, so you might want to pop that off if you're just looking around the cockpit. So we're going to go and start engine number 1, same deal. Flick the switch, the RPM comes up, and then we can turn on the alternator and the rectifier. So we've gone past 50%. Alternator and rectifier are on. So then post engine start, you're going to go and turn the APU back to off and turn the bleed air to ventil or ventilate. Okay, so back in the normal cockpit view, we're going to look up in the air, we're going to click the handle to bring the canopy down, and we're going to lock it, which is this big handle on the right hand side. So then on the right hand side inside the cockpit, we're going to put the pressurization on. So we roll this or drag this handle all the way forwards. Then on the rear side at the right, we press Shift 5 to get there. We're going to go and put the air conditioning on for the moment. And then back in here on the horizon section, forward on the right, we're going to go, it's over here, it's powering up the artificial horizon. Then Shift and Space brings us back in, and we're looking for the F3, F4 pumps. They're top right, to the right of the fuel. So that's here. And we need to make sure they're on auto or in the middle, and they are. The hydraulic pumps, top left below the alarm, make sure the hydraulic pumps are on auto again, and close. Then Shift and 1 pulls us over to the left side of the cockpit, and we can put the VOR ILS to M or on. So if we come down here and have a look, and I cannot remember where on earth this is. I'm searching. It's over here, look. ILS. So the knob underneath the tuning knob, or the selector, can roll. So it's rotated the bottom half of it to M, which is on. And then TACAN to receive. So we rotate again the knob underneath the selector to rec. IFF section, which is back here. We're going to go and put it to standby. And we're going to prepare to taxi. So we want to make sure at this point that the spoilers are now retracted. So I'm guessing that's the APU exhaust that needs the spoilers open, I'm not sure. And then parking brake to off. And before we release the parking brake, let's go and put the taxi light to on. So taxi light is down here, so we flick it backwards. Let's go and have a look at this from outside. How noisy are we? Pretty noisy. So while we've got the parking brake on, should we open the engines up and give it some welly? So it holds on the parking brake. That's good to know. The other thing we can do before we even get to the runway, normally we wouldn't do this until we get to the runway, there's the weapon system selection, but you can put this to flight and it will control what you see in the head-up display. So let's put the yoke back on as well. Let's go to heading, bug mode again. And what was that aeroplane supposed to be? We're not going to find out. I may go and turn multiplayer off, otherwise we might get plagued by people while we're trying it out, which is never fun. What's an easy way of doing that? If we go to settings and online, can we just turn multiplayer off? Yes. Okay. So someone's asking me, how do they get it running in 2024? It turns out it's compatible in 2024. So I bought it from AzurPoly. So let's make sure we're going the right way here. I think we are. Yeah. So straight down this taxiway to runway 27. Looks the part, doesn't it? So let's try the flat leaders out now. We want the flaps at 20 degrees for takeoff. It's difficult to see down far enough with the head tracking to see where the flaps have gone to. Yeah, I've gone too far, look. That's the 20 degree marker. So we've got indicated airspeed here. You've got feet times 100 here for low altitude readouts. You've got obviously a normal altimeter here. So we'll be rotating at about 125 knots. And we'll see how we get on. Before we go anywhere, I'm going to sit on the parking brake for a moment. And I just want to check. Yeah, it's quite loud in the cockpit, isn't it, with the engine? So I'm going to turn the engine down a bit. Or turn the sound down a bit. Okay, that's military power. And that's the afterburner. From inside. So we're looking at 110 knots, 20, 25. Gently pull back more and more pressure on the stick, and we're in the air. So gear up, flaps up. And let's split the throttles to drop the afterburner. So what sort of speed's it doing? It's come up through 300 knots pretty quickly, hasn't it? I didn't calibrate the altimeter. I need to put that in my checklist. It wasn't in their checklist either. So yeah, I bought the aircraft specifically from AzurPoly. Obviously I'm on the PC. So your mileage may vary if you're using an Xbox. It may not have arrived yet in the marketplace for 2024 on the Xbox, I'm guessing. So there's the airfield we just took off from. We'll do a touch and go first. Just to get the feel of it. Obviously we're going to be quite heavy because the tanks were full. But yeah, I haven't seen it in the marketplace either, which is why I went. I was reading around this morning and realised that the aircraft was out. And then thought, why can't I find it anywhere? And then I can't remember where I bought it from now. It may have been Contrail. I think I got it from Contrail, funnily enough. And they just, bought it and installed, because there's a filter in Contrail to only show yourself 2024 compatible things, and it was listed. Okay, let's go back to idle then on the engines. Just playing with the trim as well while we're doing that. So we're down to 300 knots. So, but there's our whiskey compass. Do we get a directional gyro as well somewhere? Looks like we might not. Or an HSI. We'll have a look at that a bit later. So you can see we are losing speed at an alarming rate at idle. So we're down to 160 knots, look, which without flaps is going to become a problem. So I'm dropping the flaps already. There's the runway. No, it wasn't, sorry. We have now lost the airfield. Is that it out there in the mist? Just going to check. Yeah, it was out there in the mist. While we were busy talking, flew further away from the airfield than I thought. So we're going to look on the map, look. We're just pulling ourselves back onto an approach. So gear down, full flaps. Normally you'd be looking to go landing lights as well. I'm not going to bother for this test flight. Don't want to put too much workload on myself. So look at the speed falling off at full flaps. So we're going to have to introduce a lot of power just to hold ourselves at about 140, 150 knots. A bit low. And we're down. So flaps back to takeoff. I love the contrails off the corners of the wings. Now look at that. Look how much it yawed in the roll. So what direction do we need from here? Is it directly... I'm just trying to think if we go over towards Snowdonia. I don't know what sort of range the Jaguar has though. If we fly off towards the west. Right, so we're running at 100% power at the moment. Let's pull it back to about... That's interesting. The RPM is not coming down until we reduce the power levers significantly. So we're doing 500 knots. So we do have aileron trim, which is good. We have elevator trim. This is a question of how low can we go, really. Looks the part, doesn't it? Obviously this is what it was designed for. So we're hurtling westward across the country, or hopefully westward. Aiming to go west-northwest really, so let's just turn ourselves slightly. So we're running the engines at about 90, just above 95%, which is just below 500 knots by the look of it. Should we open up the engines then? See this reheat that everybody talks about. So will it go supersonic at low level, I wonder? Probably not. We'll find out in a moment. Trouble is I don't want to waste too much fuel, so I'm not going to stay at this game for ages. No, there's no way. Look, it's just creeping up to 600 knots. So we discovered earlier, didn't we, that there's a autopilot in here. So we want to go about, what was it, 270? Can we just hold the button on? Okay, it does accelerate the faster you click. So if we took ourselves up to 2,000 feet, and we put vertical speed to get there, is that how it works? Will it stop at 2,000 feet? Okay, you have to have it on first. Okay, I get it. It's playing with the systems, so you're watching me learn. So if we come up at 1,000 feet a minute, so can we see? That's 1,000 feet. So while it's on autopilot, we get to play with some of the systems. So we can take it into valley to land. We don't have to come back across the country. So on this makeshift autopilot then, let's say we want to go to 90 degrees. So it can take us over to what used to be called Snowdonia. And I'm going to forget the place name now. So Snowdon's Erwidfa is the new name. But I'm trying to remember, scratching my brain here, trying to remember what the proper name for Snowdonia now is. Ereri, or is it the other way around? Was it Snowdon is Ereri, or Snowdonia is Ereri? Well, that's the idea. That's why I'm just looking at live stream comments. We're going to go and have a look at the Mac loop while we're in the air with it. May as well. But while we're en route, I thought it would be good fun. I'm going to turn head tracking off so we can do this and have a look at the instruments, because it's got proper instruments, so why not have a play with them? So there's Honiton VOR over here. Sorry, Honolly VOR, 11365. So let's go and look. The VOR's down here, so 11365, it's on. So where do we see the... This is it, isn't it? So is this a... Well, we'll find out. If I press Alt-C, Control-C, I can't remember what I pressed. So if we change our course... How do we change the course? Yeah, I need to read the book on this. Ah, here we go. So if we were to go... Yeah, I need to go and read it. There's no way you're going to make sense of this without reading the book. But obviously the needle is the offset. Do I ever test the ejection seat? No. It's very cool though, isn't it? Having all the controls, and they all seem to be operable. So we've got 2200 So if we watch that gauge, let's see the rate go down. Oh look, we've got front and rear, but it's set to auto on the pumps. So therefore you would imagine it would. So you do have control to take over pumping from the different tanks yourself. And you can do cross-feed pumping as well, which is interesting. So why have we got a light down here? What does that mean? Is there any way of finding out? We've got another light out there. Is that the autopilot mode? They've kind of hidden it, even though obviously it shouldn't have one. So if we turn that off, yeah, it is. Look. So altitude hold on, heading. So that did go to altitude hold at 2,000 feet then. Yeah. So it's bobbling around. Look, between 1900 and 2000. So it did switch from vertical speed to altitude hold when it got to the target altitude. That's good to know. Okay, we're whistling across the countryside towards Ereri is Snowdonia. So it's Erwidfa is Snowdon, as we used to call it. So we're about to whiz over the top of Birmingham. I don't know how well modelled Birmingham is, if they've got the bull ring in the simulator. I know if you install the Orbex pack of landmarks, which I haven't done at the moment, you do get things like the Bullring Shopping Centre and stuff like that is in the sim in its appropriate place. So this is a bit of a calm before the storm, really, before we get to Snowdonia or Ereri. So I guess it would make more sense, wouldn't it, if we go and measure from here. So we've got about 75 miles to run. If we turn to 270 degrees then on the trick autopilot inside it on the tablet. Oh, we want 270, not. And then we can cut up the coast, come in through Barmouth and go in that way into the Mackley. So, did I turn the mode off? Or have I broken the HUD? It looks like I've broken it. Or I've pressed something that I don't know what I've done. Maybe it doesn't work when the autopilot's on. Or maybe that's why there's a light on down here. We'd have to go and read the book to find out what that light means. It's interesting, it's lit up in such a way that you can't actually see any writing on it. It doesn't just mean the autopilot's on, does it? No. Oh, sorry, that's just altitude hold, sorry. No, so that didn't come off. Interesting. I wonder if we go and have a look in the documentation online and look up the warnings. It's the... Oh, is it pitot heat that's lit up? Did I not do the pitot heat? I didn't, did I? There we go. I'm flying along without the pitot heat, and it's a lovely warm day in the UK, so it's not going to be a problem. It's on my checklist. I did my classic. I've written it on my checklist, and then while I was busy talking on the live stream, I didn't follow the checklist. So something else I probably haven't done is turned the landing lights off, which is over here. No, I hadn't. I still had the taxi light on. There's some really good alarms. You can get an angle of attack alarm. So alongside here, this ribbon here is your angle of attack, and you can get into some serious trouble. There's your G meter over here. So you can see the hills starting to arrive in front of us. We are whistling across the country, like 450 knots, just above 90% power, well, 90% RPM, sorry. We're down to 2,000, I'm guessing that's pounds of fuel. So, I didn't turn the head tracking, sorry, not head tracking, I didn't turn the heading tracking back on the autopilot, did I? So the aeroplane was slowly drifting. And the reason for that, oh actually no, there's only a few knots wind from the west. I was wondering if the wind was coming from the south, pushing the tail round slowly, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So within the tablet, if you remember, we can go in here and we can turn on the pilot in our interior view. So when we are looking around, and this would be more applicable to... Oh, we've got the... Yeah, so it turns out the HUD switches off then when the autopilot's on by the look of it. So then we get our own body, which is quite unnerving. So hurtling across the countryside, we're down to £1,960. So we'll probably just about have enough fuel for one trip around the Mac Loop, and then we'll have to scurry up the coast to Valley, unless we play games with the sim and refill ourselves in midair. It's a good point actually. Does this have the refueling drogue? It's a Jaguar A, isn't it? I think they retrofitted them in later models. So by the time we got to the Golf War, I think the later models of the Jaguar had a refueling drogue. So do the mirrors actually work? It's kind of simulated, isn't it? It is awesome though, isn't it? I love aeroplanes that are a little bit quirky and a little bit different. So I wonder if the autopilot panel changes if you've got it on GPS mode. I wonder if you get a nav button. Okay, we are now over Wales. Hurtling towards the hills. As long as we head for that hill in the distance, should we turn that autopilot off and take over? We have control. Around that hill that's coming up in the distance. Turn back to 270 when we've gone past it. Yeah, so this is the directional gyro on the outside of this instrument. So this is reading it's radio altimeter. It's reading below the aircraft. Look, we're 200 feet at the moment. Obviously it's bobbling as it sees trees, so it dropped down to 100 feet then for a moment. So the game is, how low can you get this before the screen goes black? So if we skim the top of this hill up here, we want a flat grassy field, don't we? That one looks like a good candidate. Yeah, that went down to about 10 feet. Not the sort of game to be playing at 450 knots, hey? Especially as this pipper on the HUD is not a velocity vector. It's on the axis of the aircraft as far as I'm aware. So yeah, we've got another flat hill coming. We can buzz this visually and see what happens to the meter here. It's getting pretty low, isn't it? So under 100 feet. About 50 feet again. Okay, so we're coming in towards the sea. We're down to 1,700 pounds of fuel. As I said, there are ways and means of refuelling the aircraft while you're in flight, but if we want to do this something like realistically, we'll see how we get on. We should have enough fuel just to limp back to Valley after one lap of the... so here we go, look, we're coming in to the coast, and then we're going to fly around the headland, go up the estuary, and hopefully go through the Mach Loop. I'm not going to be using reheat because we'll run out of fuel. So, is this Barmouth or is it the next one? No, it's the next one. The lake. So here comes Barmouth, and the way in, or one of the ways into the Mach Loop. So we fly down and then we double back and fly in through the pass that leads to Chorus. How are we doing on fuel? 1600. Okay, one lap, then scamper home. going to be interesting to watch the angle of attack meter on some of these turns. I don't think it's going to be too bad actually, because we're going at such a rate of knots. Doing 400 knots, look. So there's a couple of hills on the right, and you can double back. So we'll go down this way a little way. You can see a big hill here. Usually you double back around the back of it. Whoa! Telegraph pole, or aerial, aerial mast. So yeah, we're going to go around the back of this hill and double back on ourselves then. There's the way in over there. So we drop in to the valley here. And we're going back past the way out, if that makes any sense. Which if you look over here, there it is. That's where you come out of the map loop. Here's the way in. Just under £1,600 of fuel left. They've updated this scenery again, haven't they? It's changed. Or maybe it's just the weather conditions making it look different. That was a bit too dangerous. We started to get too slow. We bled off so much speed. I let the aircraft fall through those corners. I came off the power. I can't do that for long because I can't see where I'm going. Yeah, I think the thing is the trees are slowly picking up leaves, aren't they? Because the seasons are kicking in, and it's changing the whole look of the map loop. So obviously there are buds on the trees at the moment, and it's reflecting that. So there's our hill in the distance that we're looking for. There's our turn through there. So we stay right. Yeah. Everything on fuel. Oh, we got lots. Okay, we're going to go up towards the valley now. Yeah, the seasons are changing, aren't they? After flying around this area with nothing on the trees for so long, it looks so different with leaves starting to appear. Okay, off to Valley we go. We have £1,350 fuel left. Should be enough to get us there. So off up the coast to Anglesey we go. So there's Barmouth again. So we're going to fly over the top of Lambeda, and then you'll see the Menai Strait will cross over. So here comes Lambeda. Yeah, so I think the only thing I've got missing on the checklist that I've written up is calibrating the altimeter. So I just need to put that on the pre-takeoff checks. Because, yeah, it wasn't in their checklist, that's why I missed it. I only realised after I'd taken off. And obviously I need to go and have a read just for my own curiosity about the different modes on this VOR, or nav radio I should say, with what the different modes are, what they actually relate to. So we're just crossing over towards Carnarvon, and then Valley will be out ahead of us. Always looks strange upside down, doesn't it? So I don't think without the... Oh, Carnarvon Castle might be there without the scenery update. Look at the height of this mast. So what speed are we doing? 550 knots. £1,100 of fuel left. So there's Carnarvon Airfield. Carnarvon Castle's over there. So over here, should we just go and do a little bit of a detour? Saw the Anglo attack climbing there as we pulled the corner. So we've got a little bit of fuel left. We can go and... yeah, it has got the castle. Or has it? No, it's got... oh, no, actually, yeah, it does look sort of correct. I'm just wondering So we've got a little bit of fuel left. We'll go upwind of Valley and just go and do some high G turns to see what happens. So we've got a little bit of fuel left to have some fun. So we'll go out over the top of Holy Island and see how we get on. Okay. So there's the runways. We're dead in line with them at the moment. We'll go off to the right side of the airfield so we can see it as we come down left. There's Valley. This is the Flight Sim 2 version for 2020. It still works in 2024. Some of the textures are a bit funky, but it works in the simulator. It doesn't break anything. And obviously it's much better than the stock one because it's got the military aircraft on the ground. There's Holy Island, the other side of the water there. So let's go full military power and just roll it in and go feed the back stick in hard as we can. 450 knots. Whoa, blacking out. I'm going to let go there. Look at the G meter. 6 Gs, sustaining it, and it's starting to grey me out. Dropping down now as the airspeed falls off to 4 Gs, and we've run out of airspeed and talent. So let's keep the airspeed low now. There's the runway at Valley. Get out. Look at the flaps coming out and taking the speed off. Going to have a quick look at that. Okay. Let's keep an eye on those PAPI lights. Sinking as we go. We've got 1 red, 2 reds. Three reds. Pulling the power on. Oh, it sinks like so and so. Now we're fast, but we've got a nice long runway, so we can use this as a learning experience more than anything. The engine doesn't react quickly either. Bounce. And we're down. Obviously you can play games with the spoilers as well if you want to. Should go and park up where the Hawks are. So we take the next exit. So yeah, this aeroplane is great fun. It's probably my second favourite after the Tornado, but that's just nostalgia with me for the Tornado. Because I grew up, you know, it was one of the mainline RAF aircraft when I was growing up, and I think everybody has that attachment. Well, anybody interested in aviation, I should say, it has that attachment to whatever was the mainline fighters during their youth. It's a shame there isn't an accurate Eurofighter in Flight Simulator. And I know the one that you can get for it is okay, but it's very, very simplified. So let's go and park. There's a Eurofighter there, look, and an F-35. Should we park next to them? Kind of see a generational picture. It's a shame there's not a Tornado parked around somewhere nearby. So how are we supposed to get over there? I think the next right, isn't it? On the yellow lines. Just looking at them now. We're going to park facing them, just to annoy them. Well, I guess we could just turn around, couldn't we? Go and park next to the F-35. Make it self-conscious. Look at this swaying around on its undercarriage. It's awesome, isn't it? There we go. So, how do we shut the engines down? I haven't got a clue. I haven't read about that yet. Oh, we need to turn the pilot off first so we can see anything. So, in here, we can go and turn the pilot off inside the aircraft. And the cheat way, obviously, is you can come in here and just say, make me cold and dark. But is there a way of shutting off the engines? Some of the others, you click the back of the throttles, but apparently not on this one. That's only an engine start. Yeah, I don't know how. I have to go and read the book. I guess we could turn the fuel pumps off, which would be one way of doing it. Yeah, that will do it. Obviously then we're going to run the batteries flat in very short order. And we're getting alarms kicking off. But obviously the quick way is just say cold and dark. And it should go around and do everything for us. And there it goes. Everything's happened. Look, it's flicked all the switches back that we switched on when we got in. So we can open the canopy. We'll have to... Oh, it's okay. It's already pulled the lever for the canopy. And then, how do we reopen it then? Because the handle is obscured inside. That's interesting. They hadn't really thought about that, have they? And I can't find a click spot for it. Was there something in the EFB about it? APU covers. No, there wasn't. Okay, we'll leave it as it is anyway. I'm just wondering why I can't now open the lock. How strange. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Obviously there's lots more to learn. That was a very first look at the Jaguar in Flight Sim. It looks the part, doesn't it? Oh, it's open now, look. Was that open already? Was I clicking on nothing? I went to cold and dark, didn't I? Yes. That's exactly what I was doing. God, brain fade. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense now. That's why it's open here. Absolute and utter brain fade. I'm trying to do too many things in one day, I think. Does that work still? No, that's good. Very good. So, there we go. That was the Sepecat Jaguar. I've written up the instructions. I'm just going to go and update them right now to go and put the calibrating of the altimeter in place. Be good to have a look at this, actually. So, in here, it's got a directional gyro. I wonder if that drifts. And if it does, I wonder if we can adjust it. So let's just go and check in the settings of the simulator. If I go and look at my keyboard mappings and I search for gyro. Okay, I can never remember what this is called. Compass. Decrease inductor compass reference. I can't remember what it's called. Search by input. Heading indicator drift. Control Alt C and X I've mapped them to. I just want to go and have a look and see if we can rotate this. No. So that means that's going to stay accurate and not drift then, if that is the case, unless this is off. This being off means something. No, I don't think it will drift. But again, something to go read the book about. Unless it's just set somewhere else to adjust it, maybe. But yeah, like I said, this is a bit of a mystery at the moment, how this works. We'll have to go and read about it. Okay, that was good. I'm really impressed with that. This is up there with the Tornado in terms of, you know, accuracy and being good fun. So, yeah, hopefully see some of you guys flying the Jaguar around in the simulator soon. So today we took off from, now where did we take off from? Hoddington. We flew across the country, over Birmingham, over to the Mac Loop, did a lap of the Mac Loop, and then up to RAF Valley. So, I'll see you again soon. Take care.